You wake up and within 60 seconds, your hand is already reaching for your phone. Before you have even spoken to yourself, before you have taken a single conscious breath, you are already scrolling through someone else's highlight reel, absorbing someone else's agenda, letting the world tell you what matters. And right there, in that tiny moment, you have already lost. Carl Jung understood something most people never figure out. The first hour of your day determines whether you live from the inside out or the outside in. Your mind is either yours to command, or it becomes a battlefield where everyone else plants their flags. And here is the truth nobody wants to hear. Most people surrender their minds before breakfast. This is not about motivation. This is not about waking up at 4 in the morning or meditating for an hour or drinking some perfect green smoothie. This is about psychological sovereignty. This is about who owns your attention, your emotional state, your sense of reality when the day begins. Because if you do not claim it first, the world will claim it for you. And once the world has it, good luck getting it back. Let me be clear. The world is not evil. Your phone is not the enemy. Social media, emails, news, obligations, none of these are inherently destructive, but they are designed to capture your attention. They are engineered to make you reactive. And when you start your day by immediately feeding your mind external input, you are training yourself to live in reaction mode. You become a passenger in your own life. You wake up tired, you check your phone. You see something that irritates you or makes you anxious. And now your entire morning is shaped by something that has nothing to do with who you actually are or what you actually need. Jung called this identification with the collective. You stop being an individual and start being a receptor for mass consciousness. You absorb the anxiety, the opinions, the urgency, the comparisons, and you mistake all of that for your own inner experience. And here is the kicker. You do not even realize it is happening. You think you are just staying informed, just staying connected, just being responsible. But what you are actually doing is giving away your psychological authority before you have even established it. So let me give you 5 morning rituals that are not about productivity or optimization. These are about reclaiming your mind before the world colonizes it. These are Jungian practices disguised as simple habits. And if you do them consistently, they will change not just your mornings, but your entire relationship to reality. Ritual number 1, wake up and do not touch your phone for the first 30 minutes. I know. You need it for your alarm. Fine, turn off the alarm and put the phone face down across the room. Do not check messages, do not check email, do not scroll, just 30 minutes, that is it. Why? Because those 30 minutes are when your conscious mind is most malleable. You are transitioning from the unconscious state of sleep to the conscious state of waking life. And in that transition, you are incredibly suggestible. Whatever you feed your mind first will set the tone for your entire day. If the first thing you do is absorb other people's problems, other people's opinions, other people's emergencies, then you have just programmed yourself to spend the day in reactive mode. But if you give yourself 30 minutes to simply be with yourself, to let your own thoughts surface, to feel your own body, to notice your own emotional state without external interference, you are establishing internal authority. You are saying, I exist before the world makes its demands. My inner state matters more than my inbox. Look, I get it. This feels impossible. You have responsibilities. People need you. Things are urgent. But here is the truth Jung would tell you. Nothing is so urgent that it cannot wait 30 minutes. And if your life is structured in a way where 30 minutes of silence in the morning feels catastrophic, then your life is not yours. You are living in a state of constant emergency, and that is not sustainable. That is not strength. That is fragmentation. So start small. If 30 minutes feels impossible, start with 10. But guard those 10 minutes like your psychological life depends on it, because it does. Ritual number 2, sit in silence and breathe. Not meditation, not guided breathing, not an app. Just sit, just breathe. Why is this so hard for people? Because silence exposes what you have been avoiding. When there is no distraction, no noise, no input, your shadow starts to surface. The anxiety you have been suppressing, the anger you have been swallowing, the fear you have been outrunning. All of it rises up in the silence, and your instinct is to immediately shut it down, to reach for the phone, to turn on music, to do something, anything, to avoid feeling what is actually there. But Jung understood that the shadow does not go away just because you ignore it. It goes underground. It becomes unconscious. And from there it controls you in ways you do not recognize. It becomes the compulsive checking of your phone. It becomes the irritability you cannot explain. It becomes the exhaustion that has no physical cause. So sitting in silence is not relaxation. It is confrontation. It is the practice of meeting yourself, of allowing what is beneath the surface to emerge so that it can be seen, acknowledged, and integrated. You do not need to do anything with it. You do not need to fix it or analyze it or make it go away. You just need to let it be there, because once it is conscious, it loses its grip on you. And here is what happens when you do this consistently. You stop being so damn reactive. You stop taking everything personally. You stop being thrown off by every little disruption because you have learned to tolerate discomfort. You have learned that your own emotional state is not an emergency that needs to be solved immediately. You can feel anxious and still function. You can feel uncertain and still move forward. You can feel uncomfortable and not need to numb it. That is psychological strength. That is what it means to control your mind instead of being controlled by it. Ritual number 3, ask yourself one question before you do anything else, not a motivational question. Not what am I grateful for or what are my goals today? Ask this, what am I avoiding right now? This is a Jungian question. This is shadow work in its simplest form. Because every single day you wake up with something you do not want to face. A difficult conversation, a hard decision, a feeling you do not want to feel, a responsibility you do not want to take on. And your entire day becomes an elaborate dance around that thing. You fill your schedule with easier tasks. You distract yourself with busy work. You convince yourself you are being productive when really you are just avoiding the one thing that actually matters. Jung said that what you resist persists. And the more you avoid something, the more psychological energy it consumes. It sits in the background of your mind, draining you, making everything harder, creating this low-level anxiety that you cannot quite pinpoint. So asking yourself, what am I avoiding, is not about judgment. It is about awareness. It is about bringing the unconscious into consciousness. And once you name it, once you see it clearly, you can make a choice. You can choose to face it, or you can choose to continue avoiding it. But at least now it is a conscious choice instead of an unconscious pattern. And here is the powerful part. Most of the time, the thing you are avoiding is not as bad as the energy you spend avoiding it. The difficult conversation takes 10 minutes. The hard decision takes 1 moment of courage. The uncomfortable feeling passes once you let yourself actually feel it. But the avoidance, that lasts all day. That poisons your entire experience. So do the hard thing first. Face the thing you do not want to face. Not because it feels good, but because it frees up all the energy you were using to keep it at bay. And suddenly you have capacity, you have clarity, you have mental space because you are no longer running from yourself. Ritual number 4, write 3 sentences, not journaling, not morning pages, just 3 sentences. 1 sentence about what you feel, 1 sentence about what you need, 1 sentence about what you will do. That is it. Why does this matter? Because most people live their entire lives without ever articulating their internal experience. They feel something, but they do not name it. They need something, but they do not acknowledge it. They want to do something, but they do not commit to it. And so everything stays vague, everything stays unconscious, everything stays out of their control. But the moment you write it down, the moment you put words to your internal state, you are bringing it into consciousness. You are making it real. You are giving yourself the information you need to actually make decisions instead of just reacting to whatever happens. Let me give you an example. You wake up feeling heavy. You do not know why, you just feel off. And if you do not name it, that feeling will follow you around all day. You will be irritable with people. You will make poor decisions. You will feel like something is wrong, but you will not know what. But if you write, I feel anxious because I have a difficult meeting today. Now you know. Now you can work with it. You can ask yourself, what do I need? I need to prepare. I need to breathe. I need to remind myself that my worth is not determined by one meeting. And then, what will I do? I will review my notes. I will take 10 deep breaths before the meeting. I will remember that I have handled difficult things before, and I will handle this too. 3 sentences, 2 minutes. But now your internal experience is no longer running you. You are running it. Ritual number 5. Set 1 boundary before the day begins. 1, not 10. Not a complete life overhaul, just 1 small boundary that protects your psychological space. Maybe it is not checking email until 9. Maybe it is not engaging with certain people until you feel grounded. Maybe it is saying no to one thing that you would normally say yes to out of obligation. Jung understood that boundaries are not walls. They are not about shutting people out or being selfish. They are about protecting your psychological integrity so that you can actually show up for the things and people that matter. When you have no boundaries, you become available to everyone except yourself. You become reactive, resentful, exhausted. And then you wonder why you feel drained, why you feel taken advantage of, why you feel like your life is not your own. But the truth is, nobody is taking your life from you. You are giving it away. You are saying yes when you mean no. You are accommodating when you should be asserting. You are prioritizing other people's comfort over your own clarity. And that is not generosity. That is self-abandonment. So every morning, set one boundary, just one. Protect one piece of your psychological territory and notice what happens. Notice how much more grounded you feel. Notice how much more present you can be when you are not constantly managing everyone else's expectations. Notice how much clearer your thinking becomes when you are not stretched so thin that you cannot even hear your own thoughts. Boundaries are not about being difficult. They are about being conscious. They are about knowing where you end and the world begins. And without that distinction, you will spend your entire life being shaped by external forces instead of living from internal alignment. Here is what these 5 rituals actually do. They create a buffer between you and the world. They give you a chance to establish who you are before the world tells you who you should be. They train your mind to be sovereign instead of reactive. And over time, this changes everything. You stop being so easily thrown off. You stop needing external validation to feel okay. You stop living in constant emergency mode because you have learned to regulate yourself. You have learned that you can handle discomfort, that you can face what you have been avoiding, that you can protect your own psychological space without apology. Jung said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. These 5 rituals are how you make the unconscious conscious. They are how you take back control. Not control over outcomes, not control over other people, but control over your own mind, your own attention, your own emotional state. And that is the only control that actually matters. Because when you control your mind, when you reclaim your psychological authority, you stop being a victim of circumstances. You stop being reactive. You stop being fragmented. You start living from the inside out instead of the outside in. And that changes not just your morning, that changes your entire life. So tomorrow morning, try it. 30 minutes without your phone, a few minutes of silence. 1 question about what you are avoiding, 3 sentences about your internal state, 1 boundary that protects your psychological space. That is it. 5 simple rituals, nothing mystical, nothing complicated. Just 5 choices that say, my mind is mine, and I am claiming it before the world tries to take it.